Welcome to my channel, Ateno Gola the Lawyer, Karibuni Sana, and today is Mentorship Wednesday, and I have my friend, a very good friend, he's called Elijah Orango, and he'll be giving us a lot of wisdom. Yes, you'll hear from him what he has studied, how he's been able to navigate life. He'll share a lot of wisdom that young men need to hear. So if you enjoy the video, like, share, and subscribe. So thank you so much, Elijah, for coming today. I really appreciate that you took time to be on my channel today. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so first, I'd like you to just tell my viewers or our viewers about you, like who is Elijah?
Okay.
And then you can also give us maybe now your journey in terms of professional and your personal journey
Okay.
up to the point that you are in right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
My name's Elijah Orango. I come from Homa Bay County, but I reside in Nairobi. And I am 28 years old, not so old, that to disseminate wisdom, as Julia said, but relatively having little knowledge that we can share. I am married and having 2 kids. One is 3.5, the other one is 1.5. All boys, by the grace of God. And just to say, I'm married to one wife, just to make it clear. To begin with, I'm a construction project manager by profession. I have a bachelor degree in construction management. I'm at the verge of completing my MSc in construction engineering and management. I have a diploma in project management. I have done CPA, that is Certified Public Accountant Part 1. I also have a certificate in leadership and management. I am a member of AAK, Architectural Association of Kenya. I'm also a member of International Association of Engineers. I'm also an associate expert, environmental impact assessment and audit, certified by NEMA. And I've also done theological studies, and I have a diploma from a Bible school. And just to mention, I'm also certified by NC as a construction site supervisor. So basically, in the engineering field, I have relatively a bit of knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Wow, all those hats, all those under 28. Yes, that's why I found you very valuable to have come to my channel today, because people need to hear your story to understand that you don't have to come from a privileged background to be able to accomplish all those things, you know. So Elijah, now I want you to tell our viewers your story from now, the time you're in high school, because I knew you when we were in high school. I think you were in Form 4?
Yes.
When we were in Form 1, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. So maybe now you could tell us your journey, because it's so important for someone to be inspired by how God, of course it's God, you know, we can't owe any of that to our own
Yes.
efforts, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Julie. Just to mention, at the time I was knowing you, that was when I experienced serious change in my life. Because growing up, I was born in Mathare, just number 10, some actually the third plot from the road. I can remember how we were staying in a house that was just mud house, and actually we had no washrooms. I can remember very well. We had no washrooms, and I can remember at night when we wanted to ease ourselves. We would just go at the door and ease yourself. Just go and ease yourself. And I can remember my dad, they would wait until it's evening. So they would go to some place called Mathare. Those who have lived in Mathare know that place. So I will not say that I was underprivileged growing up there, because there's quite a lot of valuable things that I learned in that childhood. So from there, that's where I was born, but I grew up in Dandora, because we reached a point, and my dad, we moved to Dandora. That is more or less the same like Mathare, but there we were now close to the river. So growing up, by God's grace, I found myself becoming number one. I don't know for how that how that came about, but I just found myself becoming number one. So my dad took me to be a bright kid. So in one or another, my dad instilled this thing in my head that, oh, Elijah, you can make it no matter the situation, no matter the school, you can still make it. You can still make it. You can still lead. You can even lead the whole country, even if you're from a very, very decimal school, that is. So I think this stuck with me. So that mentality stuck with me. And looking at my childhood, and where everything was impossible, the possibilities of things, my dad showed me the book, everything in the book. And I can remember him instilling a lot of reading culture. As early as when I'm 7 years, he will buy me storybooks, and he gives me deadline, and he wants me to tell him everything that I've read. So that instilled a lot of reading culture in me. However, just to mention one thing, there's one thing that after I now knew, after I was conscious of the things that are around me, is when we were eating at the table. This is one thing that made me to work very hard. The best food that we were eating during that time was eggs. Eggs was the best food. Don't talk of chapati. If it is chapati, wait for Christmas. So one thing that encouraged me is that I used to see how they served my father a lot of eggs, big portions of eggs, and as they would give us just small portions, almost a teaspoonful of eggs. And one day my dad told me, Elijah, you want additional, you want more eggs? I said, yes. No, I can't give you. Study hard so that you will serve. You'll be given large portions and more eggs in your plate. I said, oh. So being a ghetto boy and from a poor background, I was motivated by food. Actually, it is food. I was motivated by food. No, I started studying. I said, oh, no, for me to eat this way, it is food. Now it's education, or rather studying. Now that's when I started studying. On the way, I had some challenges, of course. Actually, I can remember one of the schools we went to. It's called Wangu Primary. By God's grace, now it's a good school. By that time, there were no windows, there were no doors, and there was no fence between the school and the biggest dumping site in Eastern Central Africa. Our school and that dumping site were one and the same thing, because there was no fence. So I saw how we were learning in difficulty. No food at times, and this motivated me, especially for lunch, because the school was quite a distance from my place. So at times my dad would tell me, you know, you are men. I have a brother, so we used to go to school together. You are men, be strong. Be strong. You can do it. You can do it. You can fast. You can fast. So we were introduced to fasting by force. We were introduced to fasting by force. So this pushed us at the age that we had no other thing. So for us, it was learning to eradicate poverty, learning so that one time I eat eggs as much as I want. So this pushed us, and we gave our best. I went to high school, Gorosari. That is in, there was a time in, when I was in primary at class 7, I was taken to go and study at home because of some issues. Dandora. It was a very, very tricky childhood though, because, robbery was in Dandora by then. Robbery was just not that it was an ill in the society. Actually, that robbery was a lifestyle. When you are a robber, people adore you. Ladies hang around you. People love you. You are like a champion. When you are now a serious robber, now you are like the chief of the area. So, and you find that this happens when you're just about 14 years. That's when you get into such gangs. So when this happened, my dad saw it wise. Let me go to the village. And I had some issues. I was about to being arrested. Actually, I was arrested once. The other one, the police saw my mom, and they looked at my mom. My mom puts on a white scarf. The police saw my mom and said, surely this cannot be the mother of this boy. And I was released. So based on these things, I was taken to the village to calm down a bit so that I'm not killed, or rather I don't end up in the hands of mob justice. So I went to the village, did my KCP, and managed 346 marks out of 500. I was the best. I was the best in the division, by the way. But by God's grace, I went to Agorosari High School. It was a very, very good thing for me, because now I was far from home, far from Dandora. Because 500 meters squared, half a kilometer squared, the friends that I grew up with, about 40 of us, 25 of them are dead. And about 10 are still in prison, in the Sol area, Kamiti, around there. And
Your friends from Dandora?
yes, my friends. Those are people we grew up with, our childhood friends, those whom we share a lot with during that time. And there was one time, there's a friend of mine when I was in Form 3, came and told me that, Elijah, strive so hard so that you are not arrested and taken to industrial area. Because if you go there, you will be a celeb. These people whom you're not seeing here, they are there. So that one can tell you the type of how we were. And actually, just to mention, out of these 40, less than 5 made it to high school. And less than 5 made it to high school. And 3 made it to campus, and only 2 managed to finish the degree. So it was quite a challenging childhood. Real peer pressure that you can actually see. Leave the one that you are told that this is this peer pressure. Yeah. Peer pressure that you can call and come, that you can summon and it appears. Real peer pressure. Yes. Like guns, hearing gunshots, that is very normal. you find people are very young, but his experience, one hears a gunshot and you'll tell, no, that is not even close by, that is very far, don't be terrified. That one shows you the level at which someone has interaction with the guns, bullets, and gunshot. So it was such a challenging childhood, but I thank God that by God's grace, I was able to sail through. I was able to maneuver my ways until I got to campus. So, meeting you, when I knew you, that was when I was in Form 4. At that time, I also had no problem. No peer pressure was very, very evident in my life. Yeah. And I can remember one time my dad called me and told me, my dad was very harsh. He's this type of dad that they know that a child, the Bible says that fool is bound in the heart of a child, and they just cane him. To remove, you will not kill him. The rod will not kill him. So he will cane the hell out of you. So he was very harsh. So a number of occasions I used to run away from home. A lot of times I used to run away from home. So when I was knowing you is when I met, by God's grace, my wife. And my wife by that time was in some posh school called Moi Girls. I was just...
Not a posh school, really?
Some posh school, because some of the stories she was telling me, there are things I don't even... some of the experiences she had in school, there are experiences that even... at home, I was not having such experience. That is when I'm at home. So in school, of course, never. So there's some kind of mindset that she put in me that I will live I will live by them, actually. Because, this is a lady, she speaks good English. Me, I'm struggling. I'm having that ghetto mentality. Though there is a way, there's a way I'm sharp in a way, but English is a problem. You'll just see the village. Village is evident in my life. Village is conspicuous in my undertakings. Yeah. So she told me that, Elijah, my mom says you are a very, very sharp boy. Yeah. And what is happening? Tell me, how is school and everything? So I share my experiences with her. She tells me her experience. This one day that my mom went to their place for, I think, morning devotion, I believe, morning prayers.
Here in Nairobi?
Here in Nairobi.
Okay.
So my mom went and she came and told me that, Elijah, my son, you see that lady you are talking to? Because I was like her tour guide. Because we were in a camp, it was a camp meeting, the week of prayer. Yeah. So I was like her tour guide. Mm-hmm. We were with her most of the time. Mm-hmm. My mom told me that, you see that lady you were talking to? Mm-hmm. I found her studying, seriously studying. Mm-hmm. I was challenged. Because by that time I was now getting my C's. And around, I was approaching D. Yet I was a very, very sharp student. That one I know. I was very, very sharp. And this was because I was getting some suspensions. I know how to fake sickness and stay away from school for about 2 or 3 weeks. I was known for that. And I was challenged and said, oh, and now it started off like, now I'm beginning to like this lady. There's a way... I can see some parts of my body responding positively towards this lady. I mean internal parts, my heart, my mind. I can see it's like my spirit is being knit unto this lady. So I said, okay, now because I love this lady and this lady is studying this hard, and me, I'm lazing around, this lady will leave me. This was the turning point. I'm in Form 4, and actually I can remember it was about August. So from there, I started now working hard. Working hard is a process. I said, okay, now, and it's a matter of sacrifice. People look at working hard like even a one go thing. No, no, no. It's a sacrifice, and it's a sacrifice that requires routine, meaning there's some level of consistency. So I started working hard. I started sleeping at about 1, so that at least this lady not, I match her. There's a friend of mine who is a professor. I forever call him professor, though he's not a professor, but I forever call him a professor because I've interacted with many professors, but I still believe he has content with which even those professors can learn from him. He told me, Elijah, Susie will leave you. You know, Susie is in a good school. My wife is Susan. She's called Susie. She's in a good school. She will pass her exams. You, because you're coming from Dandora, you're a poor man. There's nothing you will offer. Your father is having nothing. Now, this was very painful. I said, okay, let me give my all. By God's grace, now I started studying, looking at that background, because even at one point my parents were looking at taking me to rehab. So at one point I was into drugs. That's why I'm saying real peer pressure. You know, people talk about peer pressure that is not visible. I can show you peer pressure that is visible, that you can touch and feel. So this lady put in some good mindset. He told me, like, just work hard. She shared with me how she reads.
So those are what you used to talk about when you come for visiting?
No, not really. You know, when I come for visiting, you must put up a manly. You must show up that you are the man, and put up some face, and some countenance to show that you know you are the man. But in real sense, I was learning. I was like a disciple. So I got a lot of insights on how to read and how to pass exams. Actually, how she was studying, especially looking at my weak subjects, especially Kiswahili, you know, and it's expected. Kiswahili, I know, and such things. So she told me how I should study, how I can sleep late. If I know I cannot wake up, I'm not an early person, then I sleep late. Then how I can maybe during the day when I'm tired and there's nothing productive that I do, then let me sleep to cover up for that sleep in the night. You see, such things. So I studied. By God's grace, I managed a B plane. By God's grace, it was a serious journey coming from about C plane to B plane. It was a really serious journey, serious input of sacrifice, serious effort, sweat and blood. Why am I saying sweat and blood? Because at times you don't want to read and you don't feel like studying, but because you are afraid of failure, the fear of failure drives you. Just go and put your eyes on the book. Just open your eyes wider and just put them upon the book. Grasp anything you can grasp. Even out of 100, grasp 2. So it was a serious journey. I got a B plane, but after I did this, now this encouraged me. By God's grace, by that time, they said that those who are going to university would go with the B plane of 63. Thank God I had 65. Thank God I had 65. So I went to campus. Ready to campus. Now there I was the last in my class, because looking at how our numbers were, I knew I was the last. And my course, construction management, we had A-plane students. People were very, very sharp. People from Lenana. And you are from a school you cannot even pronounce. for you to pronounce the name of the school, you need to take some deep breaths so as to pronounce the name. So now I said, now is I have to give it my all. And I had Susie by me. No, she was my, now I was not the disciple. I was not the master. She was not the disciple. Because now, at least now I was in the campus. At least I was ahead. At least I had results. You know, when you're doing something, you first show that you can produce results. So I had to produce results. For her, she had not produced results. So there was an interchange. She had to become now the disciple. So I gave it my all. 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 Now when I was in school, I had my high school teacher who had done masters and started PhD, but he was still my high school teacher and he was my music teacher, so I loved him so much. There was a relationship. We had a relationship with him, a personal relationship. He called me and told me, Elijah, for you to get first class, you start from the first day, the first lecture, the first day you sign in that sheet of attendance. That's the first day you start making your first class. He had first class, so I was telling him, said, okay, let me give it a shot. So in my class, I started giving my all the very, very first day. The very, very first day. The very, very first assignment. Gave my all. Though in campus, there was a way I used to work that is not like like in high school. In the high school, the last bit, it was real hard work. Real hard. It was sheer hard work. But now in campus, at least it was working smart in a way that you maximize on cut and you find a way of filling up the gap with end semester exams. So that one I thank God. So with that, and by then I was also doing CPA, and by God's grace I've never attended any school. When I was doing my CPA, I was studying at home and register for exam. So he had put for me that culture of reading so much. So I put in a lot of effort, and by the time I was coming out of university, I was the best in my class, and
We thank God.
by God's grace, I don't want to say what happened, but I don't know how first class is issued, but by God's grace, I was the very, very best with very, very high GPA.
Wow.
Very, very high.
I see the genes.
Very, very high.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my journey in campus. Then I graduated in May 2016, the 29th of May. By 29th of, by the end of May, that is. But 29th of August, I was in class. I started my master's. That's 2016.
We've come to the end of part 1, and stay tuned for part 2 next week.